Often I start my video with the phrase, now let's do it super easy and super beautiful effect. Not today, guys. This tutorial not super easy, but I am convinced if you know the scheme, if you know the process, you have the knowledge and you get applied anywhere. So let's start. First of all, how to make this mold with silicone paste I got from company Resin Pro. I have tutorial on YouTube channel, I will attach a link. And I take liquid resin, it's called transparent from Resin Pro company. If you order resin, take my promo code for 10% Natrium. I dye it with 2 drops of oceanic pigment and mix them very thoroughly. The main thing is this step is resin that should be dense but transparent as possible. You can do even just transparent, not color it.
Surface has dried. Now with a number 0 brush, 11 mm, we draw a ridge. Here you can do this with a toothpick. Here I show you the ridge we draw first with either a toothpick or a hairpin so that the dots are consistent. You're not required to make them bright. When you've drawn the dots, cover them with a soft white color, then coat them in resin. Let it dry and now draw 2 stripes on the sides. As you can see, they're brown, but we started by drawing the dots. If you haven't understood yet, we're drawing in the opposite direction, like rewinding. You need to look back at your drawings. If it becomes difficult to identify, send me the drawing. I'll directly write to you how to draw each element step by step. I also draw dots, but in case you didn't notice, they are light brown. They are light brown like this. A tiger shark, let the leopard spots be your reference point. They are present. The leopard spots initially are light brown red in the middle and dark black at the edges. Almost black, all thanks to the spots. Just that we draw simple geometric stripes as an effect, and I'm going slightly towards the base of the tail. To the spine, aim to make direct clear dots, but the transitions that we later cover, see now. You see, I'm adding color. I don't make it strict. I make it as light as possible. That is here. You don't need to make clear edges because clear edges will be visible among the layers, these sharp ones. We need to create smooth sailing edges that transition into transparent background. Then your drawing will look three-dimensional, profound. This is what I am striving to achieve as per the request of my subscribers. I will conduct the same lesson only in the traditional way, not in reverse. Not the reverse direction in the traditional form, how to draw layer by layer from start to finish now. I apply such a color, peach, it was a flesh color, slightly yellow and white, but then when I got my shark, I had to add a somewhat browner one because it is more tiger brown, but you will see more. Again, I overlap, the layer has frozen, and now I draw the next side stripe. First the spots, I alternate them with thin black drawings, and then I will cover the color on top. Please, I repeat again, try to draw clearly because then it will be a pity if you spoil something on the layer. Well, he is already not there to fix it. See, I show which side stripe I draw next. Again, black spots, and also, so there is volume. Look, spots. They narrow towards the muzzle to the tail, and in the middle, along the center, they are wider plush. The dots dried up. Now I cover it with slightly white acrylic. Also, look, guys, I don't work directly with wet acrylic. I work dry, but I've diluted it. Once on the palette, so it is not very thick for me, but it has a color. So when you choose acrylic, please try to make sure that your acrylic is opaque enough to give off its color well. Now I go to the tail, the same thing with thin spots. Somewhere I make them light brown, somewhere I make them dark. I draw spots along the contour as well. Look, when a shark swims, it's always lighter on one side and darker on the other. This can be observed if you pay enough attention. Apply another layer. Resin. I think I can already see someone's eye twitching. Now we're nearly at the final spots that go down the snout, which are the lowest, and transition into the fins. I draw both large fins and small fins. It's It's a relief that it only has 4 fins and not more, or any upper or inner ones. On the fins note, there are darker spots coming from below. These are also drawn. Light brown spots first, then black ones on top. All of this is drawn with sharp, dotted movements, like in the beginning. I paint as brightly as possible. My studio is very warm, so my acrylic dries quickly. You need to dry each layer of acrylic so it doesn't remain wet. Don't apply it too thickly, and that's why I say the acrylic should be dense. It should cover well too. It should have the color you want from the first dot, and it should dry. I've drawn the black dots. Wait a bit, let it dry. Next, by the way, a new element is being added to the drawing that I didn't include before, the highlighting. I'm doing a white highlighting on the body. Notice the fuzzy edges, because the idea of layering is that our edges should not be clearly defined. The end and the edge lines, the color should be soft, the brush should be soft. So hear this out. Hopefully everything turns out well for you. And breathe out. Almost the finale, guys, who have lived up to this voiceover, to this moment. I congratulate you. You will learn all the art of layering, by the way. It's now in the top. Really, not all masters can master it, by the way. It's not. In drawing, it's a matter of patience. I'm adding color. There's a moment here. Look, guys, you can't completely cover it with one color. Give shades, give different, by the way. You can sketch it differently. Some bits are lighter, some bits are darker. Then I, by the way, covered it with white. The camera turned off and did not record it. Everything that we sketch, we are covering it with white. Now to reduce the layer's workload so we don't have to wait. I applied ultraviolet resin to it and added dried rose flowers. By the way, this is tea. I bought rosy tea and crushed it slightly to have more leaves. I applied it in thick spots. You will see what inspired me when I was doing this work. When the first layer dried, the ultraviolet layer dried quickly in the sun. I applied another layer on top of it. I will place stones and seashells. That's 2. I tried to make everything smaller, but I had to wait for it to dry, which took a long time because a layer of regular resin takes 4 to 8 hours to dry. Yes, I applied a layer and put out seashells. Then I felt a bit broken. I collected all these stones and did not even know where to use them because they are quite voluminous and large. I have here shells, snails, crushed stones, and pebbles, and I will continue. Sprinkle with the stones I got from a gardening store. They're dark brown crumbs, kind of like a dark cherry color. They're somewhat see-through. You can make the base any color you want, but do it in layers. So your shark, won't stick to the bottom. That's why I made it layered. Now I'm adding black crumbs. I found this sand in a gardening store. Not sure what they use it for. Maybe for decoration. Alternate the sizes. Don't just cover everything with one size, one crumb, one grain of sand. Mixing different elements gives it depth and makes the bottom more interesting. I decided to add some mother of pearl shells too. I'm showing you my nail art. Sorry about that. It says nature. I'm applying stickers for myself. My soul was shattered. I gathered all these stones that I had and didn't even know where to apply them because they are quite bulky and large. I have here shells, snails, and broken stones and pebbles, and I will also sprinkle with stones, which I bought in a store for gardeners, a crumb of dark brown, so it is dark cherry, slightly transparent. There is also a bottom. You can also make any you want, but also the bottom through a layered sprinkling so that your shark, does not stick to the bottom but is slightly above it. Why? In layers, I also did all this. Now I add black crumbs. This sand I also found in the store for gardeners. I don't know what they sprinkle it with, just probably for decor. And alternate fractions, alternate with different sizes. Do not immediately cover with one size, one crumb, one sand, when different elements give this depth and gives interest to consider what kind of bottom. Here I still decided to add such, mother of pearl shells. This is me showing you what I have on my nails. It's drawn. Oh, I apologize, it reads Natiram. I purchased some stickers for myself and decided to put them on my nails. But the parrot that speaks is very sharp and imaginative, so now I'm doing the final pour, and this is covered in resin that's the color of the ocean. Also, of course, it's stained glass. Naturally, I didn't wait for it to dry completely. The last layer didn't dry completely, but that's not a problem. I'll put it on the still moist layer on the lid. That's the lid for my box. I've wanted this box for a very long time. It's a home for my jewelry. My jewels were strewn all over my house before, but now they'll have their own place. And this gives me strength. I don't know if it's because I've invested so much time into this thing, but when I see this shark at home, it makes me smile, and it's like I'm relaxing somewhere. Look at how it turned out. Of course, the camera doesn't show even a fraction of how deep and sleek it is, but I assure you I will do a lesson on volume. With a classic pour, you'll truly see how voluminous and deep the sketches appear inside. Indeed, I won't create a relief sea because it still gets consumed anyway. This effect slightly makes your sea look, the top surface, yes, that's what I'm talking about, is to add texture, so it looks even softer with highlights. I mixed a thick resin deluxe. It comes in a black package. Let it stay a bit on top and cover it exactly. Stretch it to all the waves. Thanks to this cover, I don't flood completely to kill the texture. I'm smoothing them, I'm covering them. Due to this, your highlights will be even more textured, and your sketch inside will look just like it's alive, just like the real thing. But here you need to wait for the resin to get more viscous. You just can't cover it with liquid resin. You can also sand the surface slightly so that the grip is better. Look, the sound of the surface just when you look at it, and I'll attach a photo of what made me decide to start such a difficult path. Actually, not difficult. If you know how to do it, it isn't difficult at all. If I had come across my video in the beginning to show you what motivates, what one searches for, it's generally a piece of cake, now you know, and with pleasure I will look forward to your experiment. This beauty, here is my inspiration. You are in a great mood.